Banagher Glen lies just 3 miles southwest of Dungiven in the lower reaches of the main Sperrin Mountains ridge. It is a secluded, steep wooded glen leading to Altnaheglish Reservoir and Banagher Dam. One of the oldest ancient oak and ash woodlands in Ireland, it is also the largest intact block of semi-natural woodland in Northern Ireland. The site has a history of continuous woodland cover, with the present woodland being over 200 years old, having been extensively cleared in the 1770s. Banagher Glen has been a National Nature Reserve since 1974. It is also a special area of conservation and is home to many native species of flora and fauna. In spring, bluebells cover much of the forest floor, and the forest also provides an important habitat for butterflies. It is home to many birds including the peregrine falcon and buzzards, as well as native mammals such as the badger and red squirrel. This walk and video was recorded in January 2025, but for various reasons it took me a full year to edit and publish. The weather in the first half of January 2026 was virtually the same, so it is still a good representation of this year's conditions. I hope you enjoy the video and hopefully it was worth the wait. Well, hello and welcome back. Today is the 10th of January 2025. So if you're watching this shortly after it's released, I wish everybody a happy new year. Hope everyone had a healthy and safe Christmas and New Year. Our New Year was a wee bit funny this year. We had to say goodbye to our dog Rosie, who was just over 14 years old and with us from when she was about 7 months old. Unfortunately, her health had been deteriorating over the last sort of 12 months and last 6 months in particular, and we had to take the very difficult decision of putting her to sleep on New Year's Eve. And very, very difficult, very tough decision, and a huge impact and a huge loss for us as a family. If you've watched my videos for a while, you'd have seen Rosie in some of them. She was a great wee dog for the hills, and she'd absolutely loved this here today. But it's a long time now since she's been able to come out with me on long walks, and anyway, there'll be no more long walks for Rosie, and I'm going to miss her an awful lot. Run free Rosie, as I like to think in my head. She hasn't been able to run free for a long time now because of her health, and now she's free. But anyway, where am I today? I am in the Sperrins for a change, but not up in the hills. Well, on the edge of the hills, and I'm a wee bit high up today, at about 250 metres above sea level, and I'm in the very beautiful Banagher Glen and Banagher Forest. I've been wanting to do this walk. I've been here a couple of times before, and I've been wanting to do this walk for a while, but I'd been saving it for these kind of conditions. We're at the end of a week or so of very, very cold and snowy weather, or what passes for very snowy weather for us anyway. And the Sperrins, walking's getting difficult here, sorry. The Sperrins in particular had a real good dump of snow, and I've been watching it all week while I've been at work, willing to see if it was going to stay or not, and hoping that I would get a chance to get out and get walking. So the thaw started last night, but thankfully, because of the amount of snow and how cold the temperatures got, the snow's lingering here, although there's a very definite thaw in place. So you can see a lot of runoff on the tracks, a lot of pools of water, and the snow's quite wet and slushy. I need to check my route. I think I need to go down there, down that track. Yeah, I was right. Just as well I realised that when I was talking so much. So the snow has stuck around. It has thawed just enough to allow me to get here to Banagher Glen today, to navigate the roads and get a decent parking area near the trailhead, but hasn't thawed quite as that much that the snow's disappeared. So kind of getting the best of both worlds here. Banagher's absolutely lovely. Banagher Glen is at the bottom of Altnaheglish, I want to call it, but I might be mispronouncing that, river, which is dammed by Banagher Dam to form Altnaheglish Reservoir, which was built in the mid 1800s, towards the end of the 1800s, to provide water for dairy for the for industry, basically. Dairy was always a big place for clothing, factories, cotton, possibly linen as well, but there was a big demand for water back at the end of the 19th century, from the mid 19th century onwards, and they built the reservoir up here to fulfill that need. And what it has created now is an absolutely beautiful place to come for a walk. It's a fairly low level walk. I didn't want to be going too high into the hills today with the amount of snow. I don't have the gear for that. I probably don't have the fitness for that either. So I wanted to experience the snow, but in a safe way. So as always, thanks for coming along and joining me. I'm about just over 6 kilometres into the walk. It's about 14 kilometres maybe 15 kilometres in total. So good old stretch to the legs after Christmas, and my first big adventure of the year as well. Well, not big adventure, but first adventure, first time out. On the home straight now anyway. I climbed up to the highest point, which is about 370 metres. So from the end of the reservoir, it's uphill all the way following the forest tracks. That was pretty tight going because there's quite a lot of deep snow there. It's quite slippy underfoot and just heavier going, I guess, with the snow. Then once you finally get up to the highest point, you then drop down the other side of that ridge, down towards the Glen Nature River, which I love. The alternative name is the Crooked Burn, which is class. So I'm just basically following along the Glen Nature River. You can't see it at the moment there, it's hidden in behind all those fallen trees. They have harvested the hill here behind me, which is on my left hand side now as I'm walking down the river, and that's obviously left the trees on the other side susceptible or vulnerable to the wind, and it's taken down a whole lot of them. It's a bit of a mess down here, so don't know if that's recent or from Storm Dara before Christmas, but some of those trees look to have been down quite a while. So anyway, I have about 4 or 5 kilometres left to do, which should be fairly easy along this kind of just nice forest track with the Glen Nature River over on the right hand side. I think I could actually cross over the river again at one stage, and it's all either flat or gently downhill now the whole way, so it's been quite good. It's got cold now. It's 2:15. Stopped very briefly there for my lunch just in the trees just before I reached the river. Nice wee sheltered spot, but had a bit of a heat built up I suppose in my body, and then stopping for tea I cooled down quite quickly, which is why the noggin's being covered again today. So as I say, it has got quite cold. I don't think there's going to be much more thaw tonight. I'm in a wee valley here as well, so I guess the colder air has sunk down into the valley, and because there's no sunshine today, there's just nothing to heat it up. So get this 4 or 5 kilometres done, see what the rest of this walk brings me. But as I say, it's been really enjoyable so far. Nice to get out in the snow for a change. Wouldn't want to do it every day, but it's nice to do it for a change. So makes everything look lovely though. Probably look quite bleak down here with all the harvesting and down trees if it wasn't for the snow, but it's just nice with the white. These frozen footprints have been giving me a giggle. So somebody's obviously been up here in the last day or two and been walking in the snow, and it's all compacted down with the weight of their body going over, and as the looser snow has thawed away, it's left the footprints behind. It's class. I've never seen it before. It's like fossils. There's the Glen Nature River, or the Crooked Burn. I'm in this nice wee glen. That's the way I've come, and that's the way I'm going. So I'm just basically following this glen along this nice forest track with the river on my left hand side all the way back to where I started this morning. It's nice down here. Not too cold, and the walking's easy now that the snow's gone away, so it's been lovely before they cut the trees down, but still nice. Almost at the end here now, just under a kilometre left to go, in this nice wee wooded area. The Glen Nature River crossed over another bridge and it disappeared off down to my right, and it's gone into the real steep Banagher Glen itself, dropping down towards the waterfall bridge that I crossed earlier this morning and joining up with the Altnaheglish River. And I think that waterfall bridge is the actual end of the Glen Nature, or the Crooked Burn. I love that name, it's brilliant. Makes me think of Scotland for some reason. The Crooked Burn. I know that was a shocking Scottish accent, but anyway, I've really enjoyed this walk. It's been good to get out. First walk of the year, and to get out so early in the year, and as I said earlier, to have snow, which was it's a nice change. Most of the snow's gone now where I am walking here. Nice wee small mini waterfall there coming over the rock. There's loads of those today. The snow's in full melt, so the tracks themselves are mini waterfalls at times, small streams running down the sides or the middle. Been glad of my good big boots. Oh, this tree come down. But as I say, it's been a nice varied walk. Just enough snow to make it interesting, not too much to make it too difficult. Conditions underfoot were definitely manageable, just in an ordinary pair of boots. A couple of times I wouldn't have minded a set of spikes, but there's another waterfall and it's disappearing down below me. I don't know if you can see that one or not. Hopefully you can get there on camera. You can probably hardly hear me with the water. But yeah, but didn't really need spikes today. Most of it was definitely very manageable. A wee bit tough on the legs at times, but sure, it's all good. Anyway, this is where I'm going to leave it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this visit to Banagher Glen and Banagher Forest, and I definitely did. And as always, thanks for coming along and joining me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Maybe not in the Sperrins this time, but I'll see you next time.